Do you like a good art challenge? I love it. It helps me to come up with something that might be unexpected or something new. And in 2022, a friend of mine suggested using the online word game Wordle to provide a daily prompt for a sketch for the day. So you'd solve that 5-letter word, and then that would become the seed that would turn into art by the end of the day. So it sounded like a great idea to me, and I did this from October 1st to October 31st in 2022. I also did a series of Wordle drawings in October of 2023 as well. I'll have some links to those at the end of this video. I am going to go through the drawings that I did starting with October 1st, and that word was leave. And so this was the first drawing I did based on the Wordle answer. And part of the reason I'm documenting this now is I'm noticing that I maybe got some water damage, or something's been happening, that the colors are getting weird, and you'll see on some of the other drawings that something is happening here. So I thought, well, let's make a video of it now just in case it gets worse. I was using a different kind of marker. I was using a xylene based marker, the chart pack ones. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I don't think so, but at any rate, that's kind of happening, so that's why I'm going to go through this now. So October 1st, leave, pretty obvious. Maybe this guy's leaving his home territory, whatever planet that is, and off to nether regions. Oh yeah, next one, twine. Well, this was an interesting one because I used myself as a reference. I tied my face up with some twine and did this in the mirror, and yeah, proportions aren't quite right, but it doesn't matter in this case. I think it looks kind of interesting just as is. Yeah. You also notice I tried to use, at least starting out, I was going to have a certain color palette that went through the entire month, and I did that for a while, and then I got away from it. So you'll see a number of these that have this sort of, the grayscale with a little bit of yellow, or maybe one additional color. But then I kind of got away from that, just so you know. I had a purpose, and then I abandoned it because I probably got bored. That's probably what happened. Okay, sting. So this is, probably a lot of people figured this out already. This is Muhammad Ali, who famously said that he floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee. And so this was, I guess maybe his boxing gloves. One of them was a bee, getting that sting out. Not the best likeness of Muhammad Ali, but the thing about doing the Wordle drawings is that you really only have a day to do it. So usually in the morning I would solve the puzzle and then think about it throughout the day, and then in the evening draw something. So if I didn't have a lot of time, if I was busy, some of this stuff I just had to just get it done so that I wouldn't get behind. This actually wasn't part of the Wordle drawings, just something I did on my own without a prompt. But see, this is what's happening. Some of the markers bleeding through, and I don't know why that wasn't there to start with. That's come after I finished this sketchbook, so I don't know what's going on. Look at all that discoloration. It kind of gives it an interesting look in a way, but it wasn't planned. So for, let's see, this October 4th, bow. I was going off of the old nursery rhyme. what I was trying to do with this one is have some really interesting, maybe a 1-point perspective going up. And I don't know that it worked real well, but that was my intention, that, you know, this would just look really tall, and yeah, it didn't really happen that way, but it's, you know, not the worst drawing I've done, for sure. Okay, next, marsh. I kind of like this one. Pretty simple. I do know that this is not correct anatomically, but it just has, I think it has a more interesting look. It looks more like a little popsicle stick or something, a little hand on there. Marsh. All right, what comes next? I'm trying to remember offhand before I look. I can't remember. Oh yeah, sloth. Okay. So I like words like this, where sloth can have two different meanings, really. One, you know, obviously the animal, which I drew here, but also, as I've written out a list of the 7 deadly sins, ending with sloth. And so it looks like he's got his to-do list. He's gotten through the pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, and wrath, but he still needs to get to sloth. And so he's going to fulfill that to-do list. That's not part of it either. Sometimes the words really give me trouble. Like, I can't think of a good drawing solution. The word here was dandy, and I thought about this all day. I remember doing this, and I just couldn't think of anything. And then I remembered a song, I guess you call it a song, a musical composition named Der Tod ist ein Dandy, which means basically death is a dandy. And it's by a band called Einstürzende Neubauten. So instead of having this maybe horse of the apocalypse with death riding on its back, I instead had Blixe Bargeld riding on his back, which he's the lead singer-songwriter for Einstürzende Neubauten. So that is that. Vigor. I don't know, I just had this idea of, you know, this plants or some sort of foliage, and then the roots, and working in opposition, you know, I don't know. What I'll do is I'll have these words and then I'll think about it, and sometimes they lead me in weird places that don't end up where I think they're going to end up. But that's okay. It's mainly an exercise in creativity, so. All right, I love this one. Or at least this is my mother's favorite one, I think, or one that she's mentioned a couple times. Howdy. So I'm just imagining this huge, maybe alien visiting cat. He's smashing the little outhouse, and he's got to run away because we've got Super Cat tipping his hat and saying howdy. Kind of silly. Okay, enjoy. Yeah, guy putting on his best tune so that he can drown out the noise of the world. Sometimes that is the only way to enjoy the day, at least for me. I think probably a lot of people can relate to that. Okay, so this one is one I don't like. I don't like it. I didn't like it so much that I redid it. I did a better version, or something that I liked a little bit more. So you have kind of both of those there. The idea here, you know, obviously, you know, you have the thumbs up, so maybe that's, you know, valid or validation or something. I'm not saying all these are great, just so you know. I am showing you everything just because I think it's fair that, you know, I went through the whole process, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And, you know, part of my philosophy in art is, you know, you just got to try a lot of stuff. And some of it is going to fall flat on its face, and some of them will be really nice or things that you like. And some of them are just, maybe just interesting ideas. And this is an example of that. I thought this was an interesting example. The word was ionic. I decided to go the architecture route. That's kind of my background, my schooling background. Some of the columns are known, Corinthian, Doric, or Ionic columns, and this is in the form of an Ionic column, using, once again, and I don't know why these keep on popping up, but these snails. I probably like snails a lot more than I admit, because they end up in a lot of my drawings. Kind of the scrolls at the top of the Ionic column, and yeah, it's an interesting idea. Not completely successful in a graphic way, but yeah. All right, the second one that I just cannot stand. I did this one, and it started out being not as bad until I started adding color, and it just got to be a mess, and I don't know. So I did another one of those too. And I left this one in black and white. I like that one a whole lot more than that one. Okay, floor. So we are up to, let's see, this is the 14th of October, 2022. So about halfway through. We have, I guess what I'm indicating here is actually the thing that you don't see, which is, the floor. So maybe calling attention to it because of its absence. I used to do more of this type of thing, this kind of line art. And I haven't abandoned it, but I just haven't done it in a while. I like this little guy. Catch. Yeah, looks like he could get snagged by these cute little stars and stuff, and he's crying because he wants his star, but you know what? He should probably just avoid it because he could end up unhappy. But I don't know, he's kind of a interesting looking gremlin or something, and I don't quite know what he is. Oh, spade. Yeah. So this one, I was really working on a fisheye lens, polar type of perspective. We have this, I guess, grave site being dug by a spade. This is actually based on a painting that I did a number of years ago. And if I can find a picture of it, I will post it probably over here. If it's there, that means I found it. If it's not there, then I didn't find it. It belongs to someone else now, so I don't know actually where it is. But I like that. I think it's got an interesting, character with the interesting perspective and the curved earth kind of thing. Stein. Yeah, so I went with the typical type of German beer stein, but of course made it kind of realistic, at least a face. And I think that worked out pretty well. I liked doing this one. It's got some personality. One of the drawbacks to doing these so quickly, though, is I didn't really think it through very well, and you can see I kind of ran out of room for the lid. This is why it's good to do thumbnail sketches and plan out the composition. I don't always do it because I just start drawing and Okay, so that was it for that sketchbook, and went on to the next one. Okay, so the word here was exist, and the idea that I had was, Hamlet, to be or not to be. And so here he is, I think, Yorick? Is that the name of the who the skull used to be? I think, holding that. And so anyway, whoever's holding the skull there exists. The guy who is the skull probably doesn't. depending on how you want to look at it. So, okay, quirk. So I definitely had somebody in mind when I was doing this, an artist, a Japanese artist named Shigeo Fukuda. He was a Japanese artist who did a lot of poster art, and he used a lot of optical illusions in his illustrations. This isn't really an optical illusion, but it's kind of his style a little bit. So I guess the idea of this is, you know, this head and the quirkiness is just kind of oozing out or something. I'll take it. Okay, denim. Let's see, we are at the 20th of October. You will get 5 extra points if you can identify the reference here. No, if you're keeping score at home, you can get a full 5 points. And I don't know what the points will get you, but you can keep them and make a note of it in your own sketchbook and say, I have 5 points, and then whenever you need points, you can use them. So it's obviously denim, got these jeans, and then a bouquet of gladiolas. All right. Grove. Okay, so this is one that I feel kind of bad about because the idea was there, and I think that I could have executed this a lot better. A little crow, I guess, overseeing the scene. Okay, spiel. So, yeah, this is another one. It's going to be a little bit hard to explain, like, what is going on here, but I guess I had this idea. So I started imagining maybe maybe a children's tale or nursery rhyme kind of thing where this maybe charlatan rabbit is telling something to this unsuspecting toad frog guy and maybe selling him the world, and I don't know. It just ended up being a spiel. I think that there's a story there, and you can make up whatever story you want. Mummy. The idea was that this guy is like coming through this interdimensional portal or something, and you know, coming in from somewhere else, but it doesn't look like that. So, you know, again, had I planned this out better, I probably could have been a little bit more successful with what I was trying to do. The sky portal, yeah, I don't know about that, but you gotta try stuff. Otherwise, you'll never know what you can get away with and what you can't. And apparently, I didn't get away with it there. So the word here was fault, and that can have more than one meaning. I like those kind of words, and I tried to work both of them into this drawing. In this case, you know, fault can mean, you know, it's your fault. Maybe this guy's feeling some remorse, he was kind of downcast, and but then also fault, you know, being a splitting of two things, and so, you know, maybe like an earthquake type fault. So that's this part here. Let's see, where are we? We're at foggy. I think this is the 25th. Probably all of us feel like this on occasion, or maybe all the time. Just a head full of fog. I used to do this, well, I guess I still do, use some odd colors, just because I like to see how much I can get away with, and still be, I don't want to say pleasing, but I don't know, achieving the effect that I'm going for. So, but anyway, so I wouldn't normally use, you know, these yellows and greens and blues as prominently as I have here to do a skin tone. But, you know, I just thought, let's give it a shot. So it's interesting. It's not pretty, but sometimes I don't want pretty. A lot of times I don't want pretty. That's nothing. Okay. Flout. I like this one. This one has an implied story that these boys here had built this nice little club, and this girl, can you believe it, has taken over the boys club. And he's telling her off, and she's like, no, I'm not going to listen. This is, no, it's my place. And then all the while being looked on by this squirrel. One of the reasons I like this is that I used kind of a 3-point perspective, which is a little bit unusual. So, we have these normal horizontal perspective lines, but then also a third going back down to the ground. So that, I think that adds an interesting viewpoint for the person looking at it. I kind of like the idea of that one. Okay, so this did not end up being something that I finished. I don't do cute very well. I don't do it very often. I did it more often in the past, and I probably will do it again. I just haven't been in the mood to do cute. But I have this little child holding this kitten, and the word is carry, and so she's carrying the little her little kitten, and that's adorable. I mean, cute thing. I couldn't do it, so I ended up doing something even worse. So here, yeah, carry. So instead, let's have a bowling ball bag head with an octopus on it, held by a half of a mummy hand. That is also carry. Not as well executed. I think if I finish this one, it would look pretty good. This one, I tried to finish, and just it got kind of muddy and messy, but it is not normal. So if you're looking for normal, that's not it. Oh, sneak. Okay, so I used a reference photo for this woman. Kind of changed a little bit of the background to make it fit sneak. One of the things that will happen with those xylene markers, which is just a really heavy solvent, is that the pigment will move a lot, and so you'll end up a lot of times with these sorts of spaces where the pigments have just moved, out, and sometimes I'll just fill those back in to give me an even color, but sometimes I just like the looks of it, and I'll just leave it. It has kind of a interesting, kind of a weird exposure kind of look to it. So, libel. Okay, pretty straightforward here. Writing with a poison pen, or poison ink anyway. So, line work. Okay, so full disclosure, this is not an original idea. I had seen a large painting that had this sort of idea. It was huge canvas with this cloudscape, and that is really the draw of the one that I saw. But then it also had kind of tucked in the landscape down here, I think it was maybe a horse or something. I wish I could remember who did that piece. It's just beautiful. So this is based on that. Just so you know, I wasn't, at the time of doing these, I was not planning on showing anybody or anything. It's just for my own entertainment and learning, but that was a lot of fun doing these clouds. I've done clouds before like this, but this was a fun one to do. This would have worked out better had I made the waltzers maybe smaller, a little bit more hidden. That would have gotten that effect a little bit. Oh, by the way, you can probably not even see it says waltz. Waltz is the word that I was working on here. So that is that. And I think we have just one more for the 31st of October. Aptly. This is one of those ones I don't know how to explain other than, you know, when you think about something for a long time, like all day, and you let your mind just kind of go where it's going to go, you end up in places you wouldn't expect. And I guess the closest thing that I can say here is that we have a weird creature, and you know, this rabbit snail sort of thing. He's even got the furry sort of body here, but the part that kind of ties it together, I guess, is the shell has little question marks on it. So, you know, if you're wondering what this is, well, that's what the shell is wondering too. It's like, oh, this is weird, what is this? And that might be an apt response to seeing such a creature. Yeah, I think the rest of these are just little things that oh, well, maybe we'll show you this one. Well, this one isn't part of the thing, not part of the Wordle drawings, but it's in the same sketchbook and it's the last page, so. This is just a portrait sort of thing. So this is probably more like a fisheye lens, or, you know, really close up, and you get some weird sort of angles and stuff, but I kind of like the idea of that. Now that's it for these drawings for October 2022. And if you enjoyed them, I encourage you to take a look at the ones I did for 2023. I'm also looking for people, you know, I want to know if there's anyone out there who would like to participate in doing Wordle drawings this year. I think it would be a fun thing, a little challenge to have a number of artists have their interpretations of different words. And so let me know in the comments if you would be interested in something like that. I want to just kind of get a feel for if people like to participate together or not. So hope you have a great day. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll have some more videos soon.